Hi, welcome to the series of videos for the volunteers who will be creating the Maryborough website. In this video, I will be creating a post and showing you how to set up a header. Each community group will use a different header. So the first thing we want to do is click on Posts. What this now does is it's going to load up all the posts so that we can see them. And what we've got here is every post that has been created. And then over on the left hand side, we see a list of the community groups. So I'm going to click on the Woodland group. Once your community group signs up to creating stuff on the web, we'll create these folders for you. It's quite useful having these folders because if you don't, you're having to scroll through everybody's posts before you find your one. Whereas if everything is filed away in your own community groups folder, it should be just those posts that you have to look at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the top of the screen here and I'm going to click on Add Post. So when the page comes up, the very first thing that we want to do is we want to type in the title of the post. Once we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to create a post header. Now, WordPress has been really helpful here, and it's put this little type slash to choose a block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here and I'm going to type the slash key. And what that does is it comes up with the option to put in a container. We're going to use containers to control the design of our posts and pages. So on this one for the header, we want it to be a full width and just one column. So I'm going to select the first one. When I do that, I see that we've now got the containers selected, and over here on the right hand side we've got some tabs and we've also got some settings that we can change. So what I want to do is the first thing is it sets the container width to full width. That's what I want, but I also want the content to be full width as well. So I'm going to make that change. Now what we see is this header isn't very big. So what I'm going to do is in the minimum height box, I'm actually going to type in 500. You could have scrolled it, but I actually find it a wee bit easier to type in if I know what the size is. So that's all we're going to cover in the General tab. Now we're going to go over onto the Style tab. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to set up our background, and that's going to be our background image. So the third button along under Type is Image. So if we click on that, it now asks us to change the image. So when I click on that, it's going to take us into the image library. And I'm going to pick one of the headers that I've got set up there, and then down in the bottom right hand corner I'm going to click on Select. Now we see that's come in great, but we're going to put in the title of our post right in the centre of this, and because this is quite bright, it's not going to actually show up very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an overlay. So if I scroll down here, I've got overlay type. Now the very first button looks like a brush, and it comes up and says it's colour. So we're going to click on that. We now have the image overlay colour little circle coming up. So if I click once on that, it comes up with all our theme colours. So I'm going to select the black one, and then you're going to go, oh, it's actually completely overwritten the image. It hasn't. This is just an overlay. So we've got the overlay opacity coming down under here. So we can drag this back so that we can start seeing the image coming through. And I'm going to make it to 0.7. So it's still quite dark. You still see the image. So we're all set to now add in the title. Now there is another way that we can add widgets onto our containers, and that's by coming up to this top left corner and clicking on the blue button with a plus. And what that allows us to do is add in all these different blocks that we've got here. There's a lot, so if you know the name of the one that you're searching for, it's actually easier just to type it in and it'll go away and do a wee search for you. So I've got it coming up here and it says title, so I'm going to click on that and drag it over. Once I come into the header, you're going to see, again, it's been quite helpful. This is highlighted in blue, so we now know that we can just drop that in, but we can't see it very well and it's not in the center. Again, that's not a big problem. On our toolbar, we've got align text options, and we've got the one align text center. One click on that and it takes it into the center for us. But again, we can't really see it very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my right hand column, and in that panel I've got a circle that says styles. So I'm going to do one click there, and the very first option we've got is color and text. So we're going to click on that, and then we're going to select the theme color, and that's going to come in there. So now we've actually got the header created and our text in front of it, and the text is really quite visible. At any time, if you have to leave your work, it's always a good idea to save the draft. It does do it itself, but just to make absolutely sure you don't lose anything, come up to the top right hand side here and click on Save Draft. You'll then see it saving, and once it's saved, you'll see it coming back and letting you know that. So it said saved, and Save Draft has appeared back again.